Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic. Guys, what's a good sign that a woman is just using you? Your issues aren't worth talking about, but she will unload all of hers on you. Furthermore, when you bring up your issues, generally with the one-sidedness and how it's really unpleasant, you get the classic response of how could you even bring that up knowing it was going to upset me? Or I'm mad at you for bringing that up knowing full well what I'm going through. Seems like a lot of people on Reddit know my ex-girlfriend. I had a girl tell me she only talks to a guy because he buys her food when she asks. This guy was my friend, and was very interested in her. I hope you told your friend, or at least convinced her to say something. Lost a friend of 8 years telling him I literally caught his girl cheating on him. It was his first girlfriend and she could do no wrong. She left him like a month after for a different dude than the one I caught her cheating with. I reached out to him after but he blamed me for causing trouble between them. I did tell him, but it was kind of a that guy romance since she could do no wrong. One-sidedness. When she expects you to do things that she wouldn't do herself. Have had people tell me I can't be there for you in any way, shape, or form, but I don't want you to leave. And, for the double whammy, I can't handle you leaving right now. You're making me angry that you brought up your issues. You can't come to me for things like that. You knew I was upset. All while crying / sobbing to make you feel bad. Edit, I forgot an important sentence. You're being so selfish. If that's not being used, I don't know what is. I understand that people go through difficult times, and that sometimes it is difficult to help other people through issues when you have your own, but if you truly care about that person, you make time. That's what a friendship or relationship is. A friendship / relationship is a give and take. If all you're doing is giving and all they're doing is taking, you're being used, regardless of the excuse. Reminds me of a saying I heard a few months ago on the internet. Givers, be mindful of your limits because the takers don't have any. Edit, and for those of you who will argue oh you just don't understand. Yes. I do. I have been at the bottom of the deepest well, on half a dozen different meds to keep me sane, when a friend of mine came to me needing help and you know what? My issues didn't even come into play. They were there for me when I needed it so I'm there for them when they need it. That's how it works. We're both doing better now thanks to each other. If you can't heal with your friend, then they're not your friend. She doesn't act that interested when you are interested, flirting, contacting her. But when you stop, suddenly she is very interested and contacts you, a lot until you act interested again, the cycle then repeats. Just. WHY. Edit, asking why does wonders, v. Some people only want your attention and aren't really interested in you, they only want to feel important or wanted by someone else. Does she ever ask you how you're doing, more than superficially, or seem interested in what's going on with your life? More like, when she asks how you're doing does she respond to or even remember any specific things you tell her about? There's a big difference between asking how someone is doing because you actually care, or because you just want something. I had a friend who I talked to daily for over a year who very rarely checked up on me, even when I clearly stated I wasn't doing all right. The only times she did check up on me was when she was having a rough time herself and wanted support. Eventually I just slowly withdrew from her, and even uninstalled Snapchat, our main source of communication unfortunately, without telling her. Now on the other side, I have one friend who I talk to very rarely, but she will frequently, maybe every month or so, shoot me a text out of the blue just asking how I'm doing with life and all. She seems genuinely interested, and tends to call back to the last times she checked on me to see if I've improved / worsened since then. It's not much, but she definitely makes me feel like I'm worth something. And it's definitely the best trait a human can display. Definitely. When a woman doesn't seem interested in anything more than superficial conversation I get turned off pretty quick. Edit, who can get fucked? Yesh fuck you Liz. When she flirts with you all the time, and also everyone else, and asks you to come over to do complex electrical work and says she'll take you out to dinner, and you agree because you like the work and like being around her, but she brings her kids along and ignores you the entire time. Then when you're not around her she never texts or calls and just waves at you when you pass her at work every day, making no effort to talk to you whatsoever. And when you try to talk to her she gives you short answers like you are. Fuck you Liz. Yeah, fuck Liz. I'm not sure they got to fuck Liz. Username and all. 18D old account, so not made for this question, lol. Lol, so glad you pointed out the username. She never calls you by your name and you find out you're labeled free food in her phone. Damn, that would have hurt real bad. Maybe they were keeping food wrongfully imprisoned. I had a friend this happened to. He wasn't named in her phone as free food, but she would only go out with him to eat. They would hook up after the meals, but he would never hear from her otherwise. When she finally ditched him, she told him she was using him for free dinners. He said, "What do you mean? I thought you were an escort. I honestly thought that's what this was." She flipped out at him, screaming about her not being a hooker and blah blah blah, and he's like, "Well, you fooled me, I guess." She told him she was using him for free dinners. "I thought you were an escort. A cracker whore, if you will." She thought of the relationship as a transactional one, trading food for sex, and then she gets insulted when he calls her what she essentially was. That's rich. Literally laughed out loud when I read this. I was dating a girl who said she was too busy to go on a date on Saturday, and that she was only free on Tuesdays. She also said that she wanted to date other guys while dating me. She later admitted that she was cycling boyfriends through the week for free food. I dropped her like a bag of moddy tangerines. Infinite food glitch. Not patched, still works 2021. Girl is using my buddy and he doesn't see it. She only reaches out to him when she's single. Nothing ever comes of it, as she will find excuse after excuse to not actually meet up. Then when she gets a new boyfriend, she ghosts him unless something goes wrong and she needs a shoulder to cry on. Guys, if she only reaches out to you when she's hurt or vulnerable, she doesn't want you, she wants sympathy and knows you'll give it to her. Edit. And to be clear, this isn't an exclusively girl thing to do. Guys can be guilty of this too. Edit 2. And if you are / were in this situation and hung on only because you wanted / thought you'd get sex / relationship out of it, that's nice guy / I sell behavior. If you hang around for a reason that isn't "I genuinely care about this person in a non-romantic context, and would keep doing this if there was no sexual / romantic desire," then that isn't you being the good guy. You don't want them, you want the idea of them that you've built in your head. It's possible you're both wrong. I had a buddy like this. He was completely absent from all personal or friend group activities while he was with his girlfriend. She'd dump his ass or they'd get in a relationship-ending fight, and suddenly he's everywhere with everyone, acting like a puppy that just got kicked with a steel-toed boot. She'd come back to him or get him back on the hook, and suddenly he's gone and wouldn't be heard from for months. She's a classic abuser and he's just a crappy friend. They got married and we don't see him almost at all anymore. Except that one time they were almost divorced. But then he was gone again as quickly as he'd come back. I hate friends like this. There are no signs big enough what will be visible throughout rose-tinted glasses. I missed all the signs until she literally said, "I'd leave you if we're not rich." Well, at least there wasn't many ways of interpreting that one. Honestly, some guys would stay after that, lol, be glad at least that woke you up. You can say "I love you" for your money and some guys will hear "she loves me because I'm so smart and ambitious." Through rose-colored glasses, red flags just look like flags. What is this, a crossover episode? Pretty much the same as when any person is just using you. The relationship feels unbalanced and unequal, with you giving more than you are receiving. In a good relationship, friendship, whatever, both people are giving what they want to give without coercion and both feel adequately rewarded for it. Sometimes one person needs more, sometimes the other, but it evens out over time. When you feel like you're being coerced into giving more than you really want, whether that's with force or emotional manipulation or whatever, you're being used and you'll eventually resent it. This kinda reminds me of a quote I read somewhere: a good relationship is 60/40ths, with each person trying to be the one giving 60%. Anytime you try opening up, you're acting off character, selfish, an ass, etc. It's usually the typical pathetic manipulation people pull to make you feel bad for either standing up for yourself or just trying to be you. I guess this behavior depends on how far into the relationship you are with those types of people. For instance, in several of my own interactions with people that eventually ended up using me, they were very keen on making me feel comfortable opening up and being vulnerable to establish that kind of connection and desire for more of it. Then, much later on when I was sufficiently hooked, did they start with the negative reactions and manipulation. Yes, some people want you to open up just so you tell them what weaknesses to exploit. I'm not a man, but I've known too many not so great women and have had guy friends used by women, so I think I can chime in here a little. She never wants to listen to your complaints, but that's all she does herself. She asks about your bank account and your job often and says she's just wondering. She gets unreasonably mad when you forget a holiday. Asterisk, she makes deals with you using her body. If you buy me this, I'll suck your dick in the car. She lies constantly about her own financial situation or personal relationships. She always wants to hang out with a specific friend of yours. She doesn't thank you for things, but rather expects them. She manipulates you by threatening to withhold sex until she gets her way. She only says I love you when you give her something or do something for her. She never pays for anything herself. She guilt trips the life out of you. She is unreasonably, explosively defensive when you voice your concerns regarding the relationship. Op. If your girls is doing any of these, find a new girl. Asterisk, if you and your partner do this for mutual, well-intended fun, then there's of course no problem. It's when one person uses it specifically to get what they want, as a manipulation tool, that I find it to be a serious issue. You should never have to earn sex, unless that's a deeper second thing that you've both discussed and consented to beforehand. Noted. Username checks out. Seeing both your username, and you making note of that list, I suspect you know my ex-wife.